All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a story that flips a huge question on its head. What if life here on Earth isn't the final destination, but a school, a special kind of school, designed to teach us something absolutely essential? So, this whole explainer comes from a tale told by an old man named Scipion, and he says it's a parable that was once told by Jesus himself. And it's all built around this one core idea you see right here, that we, you and me, we actually have the power to shape the future if we just understand why we're here. Okay, so let's get into the story itself. It starts with this great, wise king who looks at his children and thinks, they need more than just my protection. They need to get out there and learn for themselves, to earn their own wisdom. See, this king didn't want his kids to just be like shiny ornaments sitting around his palace. No way. He wanted them to be strong, to be self-sufficient, to really get how the universe works. And for that to happen, he knew they needed a very special kind of education. So what does he do? He creates this incredible world. It's part paradise, part garden, part temple. It's amazing. But here's the kicker. It wasn't perfect. It was a school designed for learning and for work, a place where his children would grow by hitting obstacles and figuring out how to get past them. The challenges? Well, they were basically part of the curriculum.
So the school is ready, the students arrive, but this is where things take a pretty interesting turn. You see, the lesson doesn't exactly go as planned. Let's follow what happens to these princes.
They all show up wearing the same kind of uniform. And this was a huge symbol, right? It meant they were all equals, all children of the same king. Yeah, the colors were different, but the substance, the design, it was the same. The whole point was that they were all in this together. But then, over time, they just kind of forgot. They totally forgot why they were even there. They started listening to these terrible inner voices, pride, ego, greed. And these voices whispered to them that the school wasn't a school at all. They told them it was their property, that they were the masters, not the students. And so the very gifts the king had given them to help them learn and grow, things like tools, knowledge, all the resources of the school, they turned them into weapons. They started fighting each other, tearing up the beautiful school grounds, and they completely lost sight of the fact that they were all on the same team. Now, the king is watching all this happen, and he's got this awful choice to make. What do you do? Do you just destroy the whole project you built with so much love? Do you bring down some heavy punishment on the kids you adore? It was a real test of his love for both of them. But here's what he does. Instead of just unleashing his wrath, the king chooses a path of correction. He sends two special messengers, two judges, not just to punish, but to guide his children, to help them remember the lessons they'd forgotten and, find their way back. So, that's the tale. But as you've probably guessed, it's not just a story. It's an allegory for our world, for our lives. Every single piece of it is a symbol for something real that we all deal with every single day. Which brings us to the big questions, right? If this whole story is really about us, then what does it all mean? Who are we in this epic drama? Let's break it down. Okay, here's the code to unlock the whole thing. The great king, that's God. And the princes, well, that's humanity. That's all of us. The great school is planet Earth, and the uniform we're all wearing, that's our physical body. And those two judges he sent, get this. The first is suffering, the thing that corrects us when we go off course. And the second is death, which brings us back to the headmaster's office for a review. And what about those monstrous counselors? Well, they aren't some external demons running around. They are the pride, the ego, the jealousy we cook up inside ourselves. They're those nasty inner voices that are so easy to listen to, the ones that make us forget we're all family and start seeing each other as rivals. And this is where the parable gives us its most incredible, hopeful message. The princes get another shot. The story calls it the king's gift, the chance to come back to the school, get a new uniform, and start the whole lesson over again. That's reincarnation, not as some kind of penalty, but as a loving second chance to finally learn the big lessons of justice and fraternity and love. Okay, so this is a beautiful, ancient story, but how does it actually help us? How can we use its wisdom in our own lives right here, right now? Let's look at how we apply the lesson. The storyteller, Scipion, boils it all down to three simple but really powerful rules for getting through our time in the school. First, try your best to avoid causing harm. Second, don't just do good things, but find real joy in doing them. And third, and maybe this is the most important, never, ever forget that every single person you meet is a fellow student, another child of the king. This story is a great reminder that, some of us might be in older uniforms. Maybe we're a little further along in our studies, while others are just starting out in brand new ones. But it doesn't matter. The curriculum, the core lesson, is exactly the same for all of us, to learn, to grow, and to remember who we really are.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If you really see this world as your school, and this lifetime as your current class, what's the most important lesson you think you're here to learn?